Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Good Vibrations Only podcast, brought to you by
Mirror, no me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not today.
Okay, not today. Today we are gonna be talking about. We say this all the time. We're gonna keep it really casual, but today we're gonna be talking about our own interests.
Yeah.
Things that we were into when we were young and how it influenced us growing up, and whether we still like the things that we used to like when we were younger. How do you want to start the ball rolling?
I think we can just go back to
How far back do you want to go?
Just as far as we can remember, what were we into, what were we influenced by, be it music, sports, I don't know, things around interest lah, yeah. Do you want to go first?
Okay.
What were you influenced, or what were you brought up on and everything?
Okay. So maybe a little background history about myself. I'm actually the youngest of 5. So my elder sibling is a whole 10 years older than I am. So she was born in the 80s lah. And I think when you are the youngest of so many children, you tend to receive a lot of hand-me-downs. So in terms of clothing and even in terms of interests or the music I listened to, it was pretty much influenced by whatever my older siblings liked lah. So
right.
But if I think back about my childhood, I think a lot of it was very digital. I spent a lot of time on the computer.
Okay.
Not just when I was in my 10s. Do people say that?
Tens.
Yeah, you can say I'm in my 20s, 30s.
When you were a kid lah.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
I guess
when I was below 10 years old, I think I already had a very digital childhood, and that I brought that over when I was in my teens, 20s.
And now you're on TikTok lah.
That's right.
It's a natural progression.
Correct. So, yeah, and I guess it all really started when I watched my siblings play games. I have a brother.
Mind games? No. Huh? Wait. Oh, bro. Okay.
Yeah. Games lah, basically.
Game.
I have a brother, right? And he actually used to have a PlayStation when we were much younger, but I was a spectator lor.
What do you mean? What do you mean by
because
that?
he so the kinds of games he used to play Mega Man, is that?
Yeah.
Mega Man, and then there was also Resident Evil.
Okay.
There was also Final Fantasy. I also remember him playing things like Parasite Eve also. Yeah, but we were just mostly sitting beside him watching him play because he wouldn't let us play. And when he was done with the game, he would lock up the controller so that none of us could play it.
Wait, what?
Jack, you think I don't remember? Anyway, so
tell him.
Yeah, that's that lah. Then my elder sister also, she played a lot of these old school computer games. Lost Secrets of the Rainforest. Then there was also things like Loom, Loom, not the LUM. Then there was also things like Commander Keen, all these 8-bit. I cannot speak to this. Yeah. All these games lah, stuff like that. So, but as always, we would just be sitting beside her watching her play. And then, I have all these memories of her Googling all these walkthroughs. Is it Google or Yahoo or I don't know what?
Ask Jeeves.
Use Ask Jeeves.
Check out AskJeeves.com, man.
Yeah, or Yahoo, how all these walkthroughs, because, she would get stuck here and there. Then, Grim Fandango.
I'm stuck.
Huh? Why do I know? Hey, stop So all these games lah. So when it was my turn to finally have control of the computer,
right,
I would be playing things my first few games were probably Solitaire, Free Cell. I was that gal.
What was that one? The pinball Space Cadet.
Is it? I can't remember. Pinball. Yeah. Then I moved on to other games as well lah. But so very digital childhood.
Right.
How about you?
Brought on games.
Yeah.
I think for myself, I think when I was younger, I wasn't much on the computer per se lah. I think a lot of time was really spent watching TV. Back then, I think not like now, right? In the present day, I mean, obviously everything is on your phone, right? You can connect with the world, you can see the world, learn about everything and anything. But I think back then, especially as a kid, also, a lot of exposure to the outside world will be from TV lah. So yeah, so I've been some sort of a TV addict, in the past. I watched anything and everything, from the Weather Channel to I don't know, the Spanish like television or something like that.
That's nice.
Yeah, so especially I think last time the old cable was called SCV, right?
Correct.
What's it called? Singapore Cable
Vision.
Is it? I mean SCV lah,
Cannot
basically.
be vet work.
So so SCV, the old like cable, right? Like it's your version like Mio or like StarHub or whatever, right? So so you just go through different channels, but yeah, I grew up on a diet of, I would say, a lot of Power Rangers, the Japanese one, Super Sentai, a lot of Channel 8 drama,
Yeah, you and Xing Qing always like, this one is from the future. Like they
Yeah,
all
the
will
7
say the
o'clock.
Chinese name. Then I like,
correct.
what?
30风语录,
I
you know
can't,
that
I
kind.
don't know what.
济公东游记.
You must like explain the
premise
setting.
lah,
Then
setting.
I
Right,
know
right,
what
right.
it is, but you guys,
So yeah, I think people always tend to say like, in the past it's like, wow, really the golden age of like local television, or like dramas are not as good as last time, blah blah blah. But I think maybe how I look at it, it's like at the point of time, what were the other options?
yeah, there's no YouTube.
Right, there's no YouTube, there's no like Instagram, no
Netflix,
TikTok. Yeah, there's no
Disney
other like
Plus.
competition per se. So everything that you consume on the TV, is technically
All that you can.
all that you
consume.
can get lah. So, I mean, not taking anything away lah, because those were really good stuff lah. I mean, I still remember some of the theme songs right up to now lah. And I think shout outs to I think Channel 8 one time last time also, because they showed a lot of like especially in the morning, right? So I'm a huge like anime manga guy. So if y'all swing by, you already know, right? When I was like really young, I think like primary school, or even like this was like in kindergarten, like K1, K2. Is K1, K2 kindergarten?
Yeah,
K,
kindergarten. Yeah.
K is kindergarten.
K is
right?
kindergarten.
So yeah, so like during like that age, right? It's like I remember, somehow like this was like early morning. Then you turn on like Channel 8, right? Then they will show like cartoons. Then especially they will show like reruns of like old like early 90s like cartoons. And I think I remember like my first ever like anime that I watched was called Mashin Hero Wataru. And not only that, I think in the like I would say like 9-10 a.m. On Channel 8 also, on weekdays, they would actually showcase a lot reruns also of the early like 80s Super Sentai, which is like the Power Rangers version. And they show different series of like Power Rangers
Different iterations.
You're right, because every year they make new ones, right? So I mean they had reruns of them lah, and yeah, that was where I got my like knowledge of like, this is Power Ranger, and I was so super into it lah. And obviously I think growing up also the Sundays and Saturdays, right? Like Saturdays we have like Pokemon, what was it, like 10 a.m, 10:30, right? And then Sunday on Channel 8 we in the morning, I think it's like the 9 o'clock time slot, or 8 to 9 o'clock. I remember that there was like Gundam Wing on like 8 a.m. Then 8:30 was like Digimon, and then for every year they just kept like updating like the new series lah, And yeah, I think that was pretty much it lah for me. It was really a lot of like TV. And that was where I got my start.
Will you come at me if I told you I've never actually watched Pokemon in its entirety before?
Like not like even an
think,
episode.
Yeah, I really don't think I've.
Do you play the game? Like the last time, what, red version,
No.
blue version?
I never. So we had a PlayStation, right? But that was it lah. And then we had a computer, and that was it. Because you guys were talking about like Game Boys, sometimes we have them on display, right? And then you guys, like, customers will always like, oh yeah, I used to have them before. Like, I really don't know what you're talking about. I never had a Game Boy. I think the max I have was like the big game, lor.
Oh, that one challenging, the
Yeah.
Tetris.
Yeah, lor, that one, lor. And that was about it, lor. I never really like watched any other like shows on TV except for X-Men. Because I had like a
Dun 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 dun.
yes.
Dun dun dun. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I watched a lot of X-Men because now I'm looking at this. The mic is too low, so we had to put a bunch of stuff. This X-Men comics, yeah. So when people come by, we will tell them, if you want to talk about anime manga, that's the Isaac's the guy to go to. But for like stuff like X-Men, anything, you can talk to me. And yeah lor. So I was also very much into X-Men. I remember watching a lot of X-Men when I was younger, but I think we had a few comics lying around the house as well. And then I think it just really blew up when I was in primary school. So I had two very good friends, close friends with me in primary school, Genevieve and Renee. I'm still in contact with Renee, so shout out Renee. Hello.
Renelle.
Yeah, so in class, right, we would do this thing called role play. No lah. And
how old are you?
like primary 3, primary 4, primary 3 bah, I think, because that's likely when I first met Renee also. So
Nice.
primary 3, primary 4, then we were all like watching, you know, like I think at that point of time it was X-Men Evolution. Yeah, then we all got into X-Men together, and then I think one of the first few X-Men films came out around the time when we were in primary school. So then we would role play lor. Like my favorite character is Rogue, Gambit, Iceman, Jean Grey, Professor X, and then
Wait, so you had a split personality lah?
yeah,
Like,
so we
you-
will
You're all of them lah.
correct. So our roleplay book is basically like foolscap papers, right? Then we would like, I'm Rogue, right? So I write Rogue, then the semicolon.
Oh yeah.
Don't touch me. And then after that, I'll pass the book back. I'll pass the foolscap book to Renee, then she'll write her, you know, whatever character she's playing. I like Nightcrawler, because Renee likes Nightcrawler. Actually, Nightcrawler will be like, what's happening? Then like she'll pass on to Genevieve. So basically, the whole class, we're just passing the book around.
辛苦
We're doing roleplay because
Ah.
it was so fun because we
100%.
got to be the character, you know what I
Right.
mean? And I think, and that was always very fun. And I always have this thing for powers. I really wanted to be a mutant when I was younger. Like,
What would be your superpower be? Like if you had a choice, like
I like Rogue, but I think that her power is not it, man.
okay.
Yeah, so I would not want her powers. I think mostly it was just telekinesis.
Okay.
You know, being able to move things. Then I would trick my friends, you know, when I'm in primary school. Very stupid one. You know, like you put like the staple bullet like that, right? But then your hand is underneath. Then I will tell them, hey, you guys, see, actually I got powers one night. Wow. Then they were like, hey, how do you do that? I was like, yeah, actually I got powers one. Oh my god, so stupid when you think about it. But like, and I think that desire to have powers, you know, as in it
Power
sort of,
hungry.
Yeah, very power hungry. Just brought over to like, you know, the choices that I made subsequently are like games. I love to play games, right?
Right.
You know, why you keep playing? Like if you know, playing like I used to play this game called Ran Online.
Ran.
Yeah, it was on a Malaysian server, so that's where I
Nice.
picked up a bit of Bahasa as well. You know?
Yeah.
And I was very into it because I could be this. My class was Qigong, so basically I was the healer lah. And y'all know healers are very important in the game, but nobody wants to play a healer because it's damn boring. But I was the healer. If y'all are ever on Ran Online last time, my name was Kiwa, all caps, with the I is a 1, so it's K1WA. Am I doxing myself? I used to have like a Ran Online boyfriend also. So yeah, and then it was fun lah because like, I could have all these powers, and that character I could see her, and
Right.
then I was her, right? Then I was like healing, and I had all these skills and everything. So yeah, so you know, playing games was a big part of my life, but X-Men as well lah, as I was trying to say.
Right.
So I really like we were really into it, and then like even after going on to secondary school, I still read the comics and everything. But then I guess as you grow up, your interests, you know, they tend to like diverge a bit. So then I was into J-pop when I was in secondary school.
The Johnny's
Johnny's
Entertainment,
Jr. Yeah, like Arashi, cartoon, news, Heisei Jump, stuff like that. So that was what I was into when I was in secondary school.
Right.
Yeah.
I think on the note that you mentioned like you made up like your own like role playing games, right? I think similarly also I think during our time lah, you know, again, we didn't have like phones or anything. So I think the foolscap paper or like a jotter book. Yeah, we were like drawing our jotter books to create like this like fantasy world games, you know. So same thing like, you know, growing up, you know, with again a diet of like, you know, my love for, you know, cartoons and obviously anime, manga. It's like, I remember last time, like, especially I think the influence, like the whole gameplay of like Pokemon, like you have like bunch of creatures with you, and then you know you and your friends like want to train. So same thing like I drew on jotter books and ask my friend, hey, you want to join, want to play my game, you know, we each be like a trainer, then we make up like monsters, you know, and then we try to grow them, you know, have battles. I think those are fun lah. And I think for those of y'all who really like anime like back then, I'm not sure if y'all remember, last time there was this channel called Art Central, you know, it's like Kid Central, then there's Art Central. So for Art Central, right, like if I recall correctly, they have this like time slot. It's called Animania, and it's like usually 11 p.m. to like 12 a.m. right? So then they'll showcase like different animes lah. Then obviously they are like reruns lah. Usually like 1 or 2 years after the series already ended lah, right? But it really sort of exposed, I guess, well, back then, you know, with not so much like I guess on like the internet streaming side, you know, I mean there wasn't so much like, you know, focus on internet streaming. So Animania was really like on Art Central was really like, wow. Ooh, you know, the shows that they
air very late at night.
Yeah,
right?
11 p.m. correct. So a lot of times, wow, like especially I think the 11:30 p.m. like the anime usually is like either very gory or very bloody, or they, you know, kind of like a little like
sexual.
Yeah, a little sexuals, you know. So yeah. So wow, shows like Get Backers, 12 Kingdom, wow, what do they have? Shaman King, Hellsing, wow, they had Skit Dance. Yeah, they just had a bunch of like different like names lah. Like back then, The Grey Man I think came out at a later time as well. And
you watched all of that then?
Yeah. Back then, and even some of the enemies, like even now, I was like, wow, they actually showed that anime back then, you know, and it's like, wow.
Thanks, Art Central.
Yeah, thank you, Art Central, for, you know, sharing with us lah. But yeah, aside from that, how
about, I mean, other than anime, what else?
Nah. I was just pretty much a winner lah. So I mean, I was very into football lah. Football, soccer, but it's football. Yeah, I think from a young age, and you know, just like play, and yeah, I mean, but I think that aside, you know,
you seem to be more passionate about anime than you are about football.
No, football, but I feel like anime manga is like something like you can enjoy it by your own.
Oh, okay.
You know, I mean, now obviously you have like friends to discuss and everything, but like football is like if you play
you
alone,
need 11
like,
other people.
well, or like now 8 people can already lah, please get back to 8 people we can play futsal. So anyone play futsal, just holler at me, man. I'll go anywhere. I'll travel to play. Okay. So yeah, but talking about sports and like manga, right? I got to talk to you about like my like about my very strange, well, not really strange lah, but how manga really like, or anime, right, just in general, this culture took like sports playing to a next level lah for me lah. I mean, like, you know how like people say like at least in the present day, like like Haikyuu, you start playing volleyball because of Haikyuu.
Yes.
Yeah, like I mean, it's great though, because like I feel like it really exposes like people, you know, who are not like, you know, exposed to that sport already, you know, to enter a new sport lah, you know. And back then during my time right, was, I think you remember in secondary school, I read this manga. This was back in 2007, 2008. I read this manga, iShield 21, so on Shonen Jump as well. So it was a sport on American football, right? So obviously reading the manga, I was just like, super fascinated with like, oh my gosh, like, well, the sport. And then obviously throughout the series, they broke down, you know, the rules and everything, the positions and everything. So me and one of my other classmates shoutouts to Remy, you know, if you're watching this, I remember we were so obsessed with like the sport, right, that we went to last time, I don't even know whether or not like at Paragon, right? Because like we went to all over back then to try to find like an American football, right? Apparently like Queensway, they didn't sell it, and then like I don't know, somehow I found that Paragon, there's this like sports shop that sells like the American football so that's where we, you know, I bought it from and then there was only 2 of us, so you know, we started like throwing the ball like in school and everything. And then like after when we finished O-levels, right, we tried to find people who actually played American football in Singapore, right? So back then was using like forums what was that one? Not Hardware's.
Yeah, it was Craigslist.
Not Craigslist, like there was this like forum that we ended up on, and then we found a bunch of like expats, right, that they actually gather every Sunday morning to play American football but the non-tackle version so flag football. It's like touch rugby for rugby, you know, the non-contact one. So yeah, flag football. And then yeah, we ended up joining them for like a good, I don't know, like 3-4 months.
How old were they?
So the age range was like, I'll say like 17 to like they're like 40-year-old dudes as well, just a bunch of people gathering for their love of like flag football lah. So we went there as like greenhorns, we just went there, learned the rules and played along lah. And it was really really fun lah to, I guess, not replicate what you see on the manga, but actually sort of enjoy the sport, that you actually read from a manga, So yeah, I thought that was really fun. And to a point where I think before going to SP, Singapore Polytechnic, right? One of the dudes that we played flag football with, he was from Ngee Ann Poly. So back then in the days, Ngee Ann Poly had a flag football CCA. Not sure if they still do
around,
at the moment, correct? He invited us to like MP to actually join the team to like play lah, and just like try it out. So I was so like motivated. I was like, okay man, bro, steady. When I go to SP, right, I'm gonna start a club. I'm gonna start the American football, like flag football CCA lah. I tried lah, but we didn't gather enough like interest to actually like start the club. But yeah, I think that was one thing that really
stuck with you lah.
Yeah, I do, like but from like reading manga and like and into a sport lah, so
Actually, when you all talk about manga and anime or manga, right, in the store and everything, that's one thing I'm quite envious about, because mangas always like Asian, Japanese mangas lah, right? They usually always only have one writer and one illustrator.
Right, for like the main storyline.
Correct. So the storyline is always linear.
Right.
It's always
the
canon.
Progression. Yeah.
Right. And even when you all have fillers, I don't know.
Or fillers for like the anime lah, but like
but it's
fillers
also
is just to widen the gap between the manga and the anime.
Right. So but everything that's written is canon lah, right? But that's different for Western comics, you know what I mean? Like for X-Men and everything. That's why it's so hard to talk about it sometimes.
There's no like definitive
correct. I mean, there's different eras. Like people can say, oh, like the Claremont era or like this era, blah blah blah. And then, but the thing is, there are always different writers and then different illustrators as well. Then with different writers, you would have different minds, writing all these things. So they have different ideas as to how a character should develop. That's why you get very strange power levels for certain characters.
Right.
Like there's no definitive sentence. Like you cannot say things like the Hulk is the most powerful character in the comics, because sometimes he is, but sometimes he's not. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's why it's so hard to
say who's stronger than who.
Yeah, there's no definitive things that about like all these comics that you can say. So that's why like sometimes it's also very hard to chat about it, because not necessarily because Marvel comics have been around for so long, right? It's
a little impossible to like read every single title.
I mean, it's possible, really, it is, but like you cannot expect it to be the same for everyone else, ma. Maybe some people only got into it because of the movies, which is totally fine. Yeah. That's cool. They broaden their comic fan base also. But there are some people who've been reading since they were born, right? So hard to keep up with that also. There's like millions of comics out there, and then they have the different universe also. There's the 616, then there's the Ultimate Universe, which is not canon, and it's very tiring, So yeah, that's one thing I'm quite envious about when it comes to Japanese
then
manga.
Aside from like say like all the gaming and like I guess your comics and stuff, like were you into any sports? You were, right? I mean, like come on. Like
I was in softball when I was in primary school, and then when I went to secondary school, I was in canoeing. Canoeing, onward. Yeah.
You were the captain, right?
Yes, I was the captain from Sec 2 onwards.
Wow.
Sec 2, 3, 4. That's right. I was a trollator.
Won the what Colors Award?
I think got lah.
Got
Oh my god, I don't know lah, but should be lah, huh? What? Put in so much effort. But I mean canoeing was fun and everything, but I think I really really loved softball, but then I couldn't get into any secondary school with softball. I tried Fairfield, I tried Nanhua, but nobody wanted me. And so then I just went on to wherever I went.
We don't need them anyway.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's okay. I was captain for 3 years. So yeah, I went on to do canoeing, but I think throughout my time in secondary school, I was very much in involved in school camps and stuff like that, because I was a prefect as well. So then I would like stay back and then do all this planning and stuff like that. So I think that's why when I went on to poly, then I didn't go for any orientation camp.
Yeah.
Because I put that shit behind me. Okay. But yeah lor. So yeah, softball and canoeing. Yeah, those were But then once I entered poly, right, every ounce of athleticism athleticism left my body. And then I just became so pale, so vitamin D deficient. Ever since then, until now, when I see the sun, I cringe. Like Twilight. So that was how it was for me.
Right.
Then,
I think also, yeah, like, I mean, speaking of like, growing up, right? Like, I think there was this like very weird like trend. I'm not sure whether it's like for like the younger generation right now. It was like whenever there was like a popular like anime back then, right? There will always be like that toy. There would be the what do you call that? Corresponding toy that comes along with that year's
like what?
popular anime. So the trend went like Tamiya cars, right? So the corresponding anime was Let's and Go, right? Bakuso Kyodai, Let's and Go. So yeah, Victory Magnum and Victory Magnum, Saber Sonic, stuff like that. It's like the Tamiya cars. So Tamiya cars were a thing, right? And then after Tamiya cars, we had Beyblades. So obviously then the anime was on Kids Central lah. Kids Central, yeah, Beyblade lah. So was a thing that everyone started buying the toys, with Tamiya cars, and then we moved on to Beyblades. And then after Tamiya cars and Beyblades, we had Crush Gear. Do you remember Crush Gear?
I don't know.
Do y'all remember Crush Gear? It was like someone took a Tamiya car and took a Beyblade, and then it's like a spinning Tamiya car with weapons. I mean, on the anime it's pretty cool lah. It's pretty damn cool. But honestly, up to this point, I mean, maybe you guys know better lah. But literally, right, it didn't do anything for us lah. Like, it was cool, but like it just went.
How old were you already when they came out?
This is like primary school. It's like we were like 9, 10 around that era. So it was like Tamiya car, Beyblades, Crush Gear, and then there was Super Yo-Yo. Yeah, and yeah, I think those were interesting days. Like,
Did you have every single toy that you just mentioned?
I think the main ones lah.
Very good, huh?
No lah, as in, it's like you gotta be the best blader, you gotta have the best car, at the point of time. So yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh was a thing also. Was huge on Yu-Gi-Oh. What else? I don't
know, Game Boys, Pokemon.
Yeah, but Pokemon was like, I feel like it's not necessarily only like kids, it's like people in like their teens and like, their early 20s, even 30s, people still like, even now, I think people like our age, they still like love Pokemon, although I didn't play Pokemon Go lah. Did you play Pokemon?
I did.
Oh, you did?
It was a lot of fun. I remember when they first launched, I was in Thailand with my sisters.
Okay.
I was at like Chatuchak Market, and I was like, oh my god, what's happening? Why is everybody out on their phones looking down? And
no COVID,
like, yeah, no COVID. This is like years, And I was like, wait, what's going on? And I see, everybody's playing Pokemon Go, so I just also try and play lor. So, when I came back to Singapore, I did go to a few like, hills to, catch some Pokemons. But then that was it lah.
Yeah, man, I mean, dude, like, I never played Pokemon Go, and it was so funny because I thought the Pokeball was like automated. Like, literally you can just flick and then the ball will just like capture the Pokemon.
That's so easy.
So then apparently, I keep showing that, like, it didn't catch. Then apparently, they say like they have to have like certain spin or whatever, there's like a technique.
But anyway, by then you also already how old are you? So not really.
That's true lah.
So,
that's true.
That kind of mechanics don't really draw you in as much. Really. Had you been much younger, I think maybe you were glued to the phone also.
But now, right, Pokemon Go is like predominantly like older folks,
people,
right? Older folks
your
play.
moms or your dads,
right?
Playing
So yeah, I think that's like pretty much. I think we probably have a lot more, but I think this is in a nutshell. But if you do, you guys want us to like talk a bit more about any like specific things like that we've talked about today, just feel free, drop us a DM, drop us a comment on what you guys like, resonate with, that of what we said today.
Or like, Isaac, tell me what you think about the Demon Slayer. Yeah, I mean, we can do that too if that's what y'all really want.
Yeah, no worries, man. Like, just like drop us that. Like, let us know what you guys like wanna listen to, wanna hear from us. So
hopefully this episode, showed you a little bit of us, like, a little bit of our history.
Yeah.
See where we come from and stuff like that. If and if any of you used to play Ren Online, can y'all just like let me know so I know that I'm not alone.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay.
So this is Isaac.
And I'm FJ.
And we are signing off.
Thank you for spending time with us today.
Mera no me. He can!